Welcome back to the DII Nation Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your co-host, Wayne Cavadi, and joining me, as always, is the great Bethany Bowman. Welcome back, Bethany.
Thank you, Wayne, and good to be back as always.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking, DII Nation. You're thinking it's the football championship is in a couple days, and the two gentlemen that are joining us today play baseball.
Yeah, a little weird, but we can talk football next week. It's too hard to pass up a chance to talk to a World Series champion. We're excited to have Wayne State alum and current MLB pitchers Hunter Brown and Anthony Bass join us today. Welcome to the nation, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we're glad. We're glad that you both joined us. Obviously, we'll get to your big league careers in a little bit. But we like to always start at the beginning of your journey, right? And that beginning was obviously in D2. Anthony, your journey started first, so we'll start with you. You were a local Michigan guy, and you wind up at Wayne State in Detroit, and then eventually drafted. What was your recruiting process like, and then how did you wind up at D2?
Yeah, so out of high school, I didn't get a whole lot of Division I offers. I only had one on the table from Eastern Michigan University, and the other offer was from Wayne State. And I felt very comfortable on my campus visit to Wayne State, and I really enjoyed Jay Alexander, the head coach at the time, what he said to me, how I would be able to have the opportunity to play right away. There was no guarantee that I was going to be able to play right away my first year at Eastern Michigan. So I liked that opportunity. And I also was going to school to be a dentist, and Wayne State University had a dental program. I did not go through with that. I ended up switching to a business degree, but those two things caught my attention.
When you went to school, since you went dentistry is a very specific, I went to college, I didn't know what I was going to do. Did you have intentions of taking this to the next level, or was it kind of just, I want to go to college and play baseball while I get my degree at first?
At first, I've always wanted to play Major League Baseball, but I knew how difficult it was to get there. And I knew the percentages weren't working in my favor. So I knew I needed to focus on a backup plan, and that backup plan was becoming a dentist. My mother was a dental hygienist for 40 years. My sister went to school to be a dental assistant. So I had the idea of making a family practice out of it. So that was my intention initially. And then I started to play college baseball, and I remember I told myself, and what I saw was, if I wanted to play at the next level, I had to separate myself from the pack, and how to do that was to somehow gain velocity. And that kind of hit me going into my third year at Wayne State.
Very cool.
Yeah, Hunter, same question for you. Also for Michigan, ironically, and looking at your stats, a pretty solid two-way player. What brought you to Wayne State?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of what Anthony pointed out too was I had an offer to Eastern Michigan and Wayne State, a couple D3 schools sprinkled in. Those were more on the two-way front, and then my first opportunity from Eastern was to be like a bullpen catcher my first year, and Coach Kelly, the head coach at Wayne State, took me around campus. Like Anthony said, I was super comfortable there. Really liked the campus, and they wanted me to be a pitcher and potentially be able to log some innings for them as a freshman. So, as the 17-year-old kid I was, that sounded a lot better than kind of practicing for a whole year. So I jumped on that opportunity. Wayne State was really close. I kind of always thought I was going to go there for school anyway, so it kind of just kind of all worked out. And yeah, that's how I ended up there. And then same thing like Anthony pointed out too as well, is kind of as a Division II pitcher, you might be able to light up the stat sheets a little bit, but you have to do something to separate yourself. And kind of the same thing, I focused a lot on my velocity my end of my sophomore year. And I played some summer ball and focused on that while I was doing that. Came back in my junior year and saw a velo spike and was able to play professional baseball after that.
That's what's kind of cool, and you kind of both are touching on it, that it was after your second, third year that you realized about the velocity and separating yourself. not only you're both from Wayne State, not only did you both reach the big leagues, but you're both fifth rounders, I believe, right? Like there's just all these cool ties that I think are really cool. So for both of you, and Hunter, we could start with you this time. When did you realize there was actual MLB draft buzz and that, okay, there may be something, because it's not like at Vanderbilt, there's scouts in the stands every game, right? At D2, it's not like that until there's a reason to be. So when did you realize that, and how were you able to handle it once you did realize, well, there's a lot of people coming to see me?
Yeah. Well, first thing about the fifth round stuff, Anthony did get picked one pick higher than me in his draft, so he still is the king of Wayne State in that sense. I got to give him his props there.
Nice.
And so it was probably my sophomore year summer. I was playing in the Cal Ripken League. I didn't really have a great freshman or sophomore year at Wayne State. You know, I was starting here and there, some bullpen stuff, but I put together a really good summer my sophomore year, and after that season ended in the Cal Ripken League, I got onto a temp contract in Cape Cod. So I was only there for 10 days, but you know, just surrounding myself with the talent that the Cape brings every year, it was kind of where that was brought to my attention. Like, hey, okay, I'm in the realm of, you know, looking at potentially being drafted. So.
Was it stressful? Did you feel an urge to pitch better, or were you able to just keep going with what you were doing?
Well, it was kind of a perfect storm of things that happened. We had Jared Toby. He was a senior my sophomore year, or junior. Yeah, senior my sophomore year. And he was kind of the ace and led the team. And then he ended up getting drafted by the Tigers and moved on. So there was really kind of a hole open for somebody to, you know, take over the Friday starter role. And, you know, like I said, I wasn't really a full-time starter ever at this point, but I knew that opportunity was there, and I just tried to take advantage of that. And then once kind of pitching a couple games, flash some good numbers, the scouts start rolling out. So I would say probably right at the beginning of my junior season was when I started really feeling like, you know, the scouts were coming out, and I had an opportunity to pave the way to get drafted.
What do you remember about draft day?
Well, so draft day was awesome. I mean, I knew I wasn't going on day one. That's, you know, first and second round. So I was kind of prepared for day two. Had a couple calls, was kind of just sitting there. I actually is a funny story. I thought I was going to get drafted to the Giants in the sixth round, and then they were only like maybe 3 or 4 picks after the Astros in my year's draft. And, my name just kind of popped up on the screen and it said that the Astros had selected me. So I didn't really even know at the time, but I was still paying attention. So it was cool to see.
Anthony, how about you going back to when you realized there was draft buzz?
It's a very similar story to Hunter. I was playing college summer ball in Northern California in 2007, and there was a radar gun up on the right field wall. And all summer, I was anywhere from 89 to 92 miles an hour, like every other right-handed pitcher in Division II baseball and Division I. And I remember saying to myself, if I want to play at the next level, I gotta throw harder. I have to. And sure enough, that was the year that Tim Lincecum made his debut with the San Francisco Giants. So I started watching him pitch, and I started implementing his delivery into mine, adding a little bit more of a coil, generating some more torque in my body. And I remember the first outing where I actually pitched like Tim Lincecum. I came in the dugout after striking out, I think, 2 of the 3 batters in the first inning, and everyone was on the top step saying, "Hey, do you know how fast you threw?" And I said, "No, I didn't look at the board." And they're like, "You didn't throw a fastball below 94 miles an hour." And I was like, "No way." And they're like, "We think you're onto something. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Right. So they started getting some buzz from me, you know, throwing 94 miles an hour, especially at a Division II level. And that carried into fall ball, where I threw in front of a group of scouts. I think there's a dozen of them. We have a scout day every fall at Wayne State. And then usually when you're done, whatever scouts are interested in you will hand you a questionnaire. I remember my coach, when I was done pitching in front of the scouts, handed me all 12 envelopes and says, "You need to fill all these out." And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is a first for me," you know? So obviously it just carried on into the season, more and more attention. And then the draft came, and I didn't know where I was going to go. I had a advisor at the time who had mentioned that top 10 rounds is very realistic, but I didn't know where. So when the draft day came, he told me there was a handful of teams, about 3 teams, thinking about taking me in the 4th. And then as each round progressed, more and more teams were interested. So when the 5th round came, I actually got drafted by San Diego, and that kind of threw me off because they kind of showed the least amount of interest, according to my advisor. Kind of like what Hunter said, kind of threw me by surprise. But when that phone call came and I saw my name pop up on the screen, I was really excited. And I had my family at the house, and my coaches were there. Coach Ryan Kelly, who coached Hunter, who was at my house as well. So it was a really special moment, and one I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
Last week, we had a couple guys from Ferris State on the show, Ferris State football, that is, and one said that he loved Division II athletics because the student athletes are gritty. You have to be gritty to get as far as you both have. Did you both find yourselves playing with a chip on your shoulder, kind of having to prove you belonged? Anthony, maybe start with you on that one.
A chip on my shoulder. I never had that, honestly. Like, I never had any animosity that I didn't play Division I baseball. It was, I lived in the moment, and I enjoyed playing at Wayne State, but I knew I wouldn't get the same type of recognition or attention if I were to play at a big SEC school, for example, or a Pac-10 school. So I knew if I wanted to play at the next level, I had to do something different. And the only way to do that is to start throwing harder in baseball. That's number one. And when you start striking out a lot of people too, that's going to grab attention of scouts. So I honestly, when I was at Wayne State, I focused on winning baseball games. My goal was to go to the College World Series, and we came a game short of it, unfortunately. But I've always been very much so a team player, and I wasn't focused on the draft when I was playing. My goal was to win a College World Series.
Hunter, how about you? Same sort of feeling or any different?
Yeah, I mean, I think being at a D2 school, probably anywhere in the country, just based on things like budget and attention, kind of gives you that gritty aspect. But there's a lot of things that, because of that, I'm really thankful for. Like looking back on, I would probably compare it to, let's say, Vanderbilt's going to play UCLA or something. They would fly there. Well, we would go to Florida on a bus and bus down there, which is 20 something hours. But that's something that I was thankful for, because those are times that you can look back on with your buddies and teammates and stuff that you probably wouldn't have had that opportunity to get as close with as many people. On an athletic sense, I didn't really feel a chip on my shoulder because of the school I went to. Is more so just wanted to show people that I could play too, and that was more so like Anthony says, that comes later after kind of your season's done. While you're in school, you're trying to win a GLIAC championship for us, and get to the regional and get out of the regional and go to the World Series. And being a starting pitcher, you don't get as many opportunities as maybe the guy who's playing shortstop and hitting the top of the lineup. So you kind of that grit, I guess, like you're asking about, could come through in that sense. But yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't say it creates a chip on your shoulder as you progress. It's more so just your overall competitiveness.
You kind of talk about those bus rides and how you remember hanging out with the teammates, but that's your teammates. But I mean, obviously, Anthony's draft pick, where he went. Is it like a Wayne State family? Like, did you guys, when Hunter got drafted, did you realize he went to Wayne State? Like, did you know that there was possibly this Wayne State guy coming up in the draft, Anthony?
Yeah, I stay pretty tied in with what's going on at Wayne State. So when I left, I would keep up with who they're playing, what their record was. I would text Coach Ryan Kelly quite a bit and ask him, who do you have this year that's got a chance to play at the next level? And he mentioned Hunter Brown to me, years ago, and he was mentioning how his fastball is creeping up to close to 100 miles an hour. And I was like, first off, I go, why is he at Wayne State? Why the kid throwing 100 miles an hour, close to 100 miles an hour, sorry. Why is he there? Why is it, a Division I program? So Coach Ryan Kelly kind of filled me in on Hunter's story, but yeah, I'm very much tied into the program and what's going on. They gave me an opportunity to continue to play. I'm very grateful for that. And I like to give back any way I can, and very just proud of the program and as far as how far they've come. Even the time that I've been there, and even the facilities have gotten a lot better too. But I was hoping Hunter was drafted way higher than me. I don't have any type of chip saying, like, I'm not gonna hold a chip saying that I was drafted higher than you. Like, I don't care about that. I was hoping that he would beat me. Get some more money in his pocket.
But and another cool thing about you guys is, right, like Anthony, we've had Josiah Gray on in the past, and now we have Hunter here, but you've put together this long career, right? Like, you're showing it's not just quick into the league and quick out. Like, you put together this 11-year career. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, Hunter, you maybe have like 11 appearances, right? Like, your window is so small.
But he's got a World Series ring.
And a lot of stuff, right? Like,
that carries a lot of weight.
It's crazy because Anthony wasn't a prospect or in the minor leagues that long ago, but the prospect coverage has changed tremendously, right? Like, it's everywhere. And here you are, you were the top Astros prospect, right? You had everyone talked about your curveball and your fastball. And then you became a top 100 prospect. Then you're out there with Justin Verlander throwing a combined no-hitter and winning a World Series. Did you ever did that ever kind of overwhelm you at any point, or were you able to just keep focus and stay on the right track the whole rookie year?
I wish I could say that it didn't ever creep in my mind, but yeah, there's obviously plenty of times where I had to be where my feet are, and I would say probably after the World Series, it creeped in on me a little bit more, like, oh my gosh, what just an unbelievable year, I'm so grateful for everything that happened. But like you said, I maybe spent 2 months, 8 or 9 weeks in the big leagues. And so things happened pretty quickly, but, I was also blessed to be in the clubhouse that I was in. Obviously we were able to win the World Series, but I mean, just the overall leadership aspect that was in that clubhouse. I know you mentioned to Justin Verlander, but I actually got a chance to spend a lot of time in the bullpen after my first 2 starts. And, Ryan Presley, Ryan Stanek, Hector Neris. I mean, there's just the bullpen was just so crucial for me to be able to stay locked in for what was happening, because, pitching in Yankee Stadium or pitching in Seattle for their first playoff game in 20 something years, it's quite a different atmosphere than, maybe pitching on a Wednesday game in AAA even, there's a lot of things that go on, but, those guys help keep you grounded and understand what your overall goal as a team is to win a World Series. And then the goal for yourself is to go out there and do your job. So, they made it really easy on me. And, honestly, a lot of that stems from, being at Wayne State. Like, there's nothing, even in college, there's nothing handed out. Like I said, I didn't have quite a successful freshman and sophomore year in terms of numbers, but just getting better and understanding that, if you put the work and the time in, that you can really do something special.
Mm. Anthony, he mentioned a couple of pitchers that he was able to get close with. Do you remember, back when you were in the big leagues, not so much the minor leagues, but like who were some of those first pitchers were that kind of you were able to connect with and like took you under your wing, kind of?
Yeah. Heath Bell in San Diego. I think it's 3-time All-Star closer. Him, Mike Adams, and Luke Gregerson. Those were the big 3 that I really clicked with in the bullpen with San Diego, that showed me how to prepare at the major league level, how to take care of yourself at the major league level, and also how to have fun at the major league level. Those were the 3 guys that mentored me the most the first few years when I was up with the Padres. And it's pretty cool to be in a position that I'm in now, to kind of be that for the next generation coming up. And I'm really enjoying that. And who knows, post playing days, if that's something that I might be interested in doing is coaching.
And Anthony, like we mentioned, not only did you make it, but you're still playing, still going, an 11-year career already in the books. And statistically speaking, you've gotten better as you've aged. You don't look like you've aged, though, not a bit. So hopefully a couple more years left, too. How'd you do it? What would you tell the young D2 pitcher now that you got this far?
Yeah, the biggest adjustment that I've made at the major league level, and for you too, Hunter, which I think you've already kind of got it under wraps, but not giving the hitters more credit than they deserve. I did that a lot when I was young in the major leagues. Guys would step in the box and they would have a huge resume of success, and I would pitch to them almost scared. I would try to nitpick, try to pitch on the edges of the strike zone, and that's not the case. If you watch hitters take batting practice, the big hitters, you can throw pitches down the middle and they'll still hit them. They'll pop up to center field. So knowing that, and knowing just from listening to hitters how hard it is to hit a baseball, I started to I told myself, throw more strikes. I've got good enough stuff to attack the strike zone. And that's what's really allowed me to continue to have success at this late of a stage in my career, is that I'm not afraid to go after any hitter at the major league level now, like when I was younger.
That's awesome.
That's a good lead into the next question, because I want to talk about both of your stuff, because obviously we already touched on the fact that Hunter, the early reports were that he was hitting 100 miles an hour, so everybody knows about that fastball. So we'll start with you, Hunter. What pitch gave you the hardest time mastering, like up until now? And then just talk a little bit about how you attack a hitter. Like what's your strikeout pitch? Do you have one, or do you feel comfortable throwing anything anywhere in the count?
Well, I don't think there's any true mastery that I have of anything yet. It changes on any given day, but for me, it was my slider, which is it's essentially like a big hard cutter, or I don't know how, it's kind of a cross between a cutter and a slider. It doesn't have depth, but given my arm slot and throwing a fastball and a curveball, getting something to move glove side horizontally was a struggle for me. And actually I got helped out by the COVID season. So that would have been my first full season in the minor leagues, but we didn't report anywhere. I didn't go to the alt site that they had. So I was kind of just on my own and talking with coaches over video and things like that, and training with other pro guys in the area. And it gave me an opportunity to really try and hone in on that third pitch for me. Cause the slider I threw in college did not have the same success when I got to even rookie ball. My curveball was still playing well, and so was my fastball, but my slider was not doing that well. So it was something that I knew that I needed, especially if I wanted, to be a starter in the big leagues. I shouldn't say, but it's very difficult to do with two pitches, especially, I'm not a huge pinpoint location guy. So that was definitely the number one pitch that I worked on over the last couple of years, and gave me the hardest time.
Anthony, how about for you?
My best weapon is my slider. So Hunter's trying to create a slider that has more horizontal sweep to it, where I get a lot of swing and miss on the depth of the pitch. So I use that a lot against both lefties and righties. And then I have a two-seam fastball I throw off of it. So I rely more on late movement than essentially just velocity. I throw, my average fastball is not slow. I average 95 miles an hour, but there's plenty of guys who throw harder than I do. But from what the hitters say, that my two-seam moves very late. It barrels in on their bats, and it's hard. And then I kind of throw my slider off of that pitch that goes down and away. So I'm creating two different directions, one coming into a righty, one going down away. And then with a lefty, throw that slider down on the plate, and then I try to throw my four-seam fastball at the top of the zone so they swing underneath it. Try to get weak fly ball or swing and miss with that pitch. Those are my two best bullets. And then I also have a split finger fastball that I'll mix into mainly lefties, just to slow things down a little bit and kind of hopefully get them out front. But yeah, so righties, I usually pitch a lot arm side, inside with my fastball, slider down and away, lefties, four seamers at the top, sliders down on the plate, and my split arm side down and away. So trying to create a lot of different zones for them to cover. And I've had some success doing that.
Bethany, that's the stuff I love. I love when pitchers geek out on how they pitch. It's my favorite thing. Glove side, arm side, depth. I love hearing all of that. Because
I know you do, and I was actually thinking about that because I'm going to ask now the kind of soft-hearted question. I'm going to go a little off topic here. And Anthony, I see you kind of shushing some kids who I think are some kids there in the room. So just talk about how you're able to manage, such an unconventional life and schedule with a family as well.
That's the hardest part when you get older in the game, is missing out on a lot of precious moments in your kids' lives and your nieces and nephews. It's really hard. So I understand why guys later in their careers call it a quit, right? They've done well for themselves. They've set themselves up in their family hopefully for the rest of their lives, and it's now time to turn your focus now on your children. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to play for. Hopefully a few more years. I think I got a few more years in me. My body still feels great. But I don't want to miss out on too many more moments, especially as they get older, they start understanding, dad not being there. So I want to be a father and be home for them.
Absolutely. And the great thing about D2 baseball players and the pros is that every appearance you make, they're always mentioning where you're from. After a few years, no one really cares about who went to the SEC or played in the ACC, but they'll always mention that small town Wayne State story, and I don't think it'll ever get old. Do you guys ever think about that you kind of carry the torch, the small college baseball player, and what does that mean to you, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to I don't know if it inspire is the right word, but I knew that when I was in college, like one of my things was I wanted to get drafted, and whether it was teammates or people around and saying how difficult that might be out of Wayne State or a Division II program, I looked at guys like Anthony, who had done it before and have shown that it's doable. And yeah, I mean, they're all over. Like our center fielder, Chaz McCormick, he was a D2 guy in the PSAC, I believe was the conference. But
yeah,
so, yeah, that's right. Yep. So, there's guys all over the place, and it's a tight knit group, and there's a little bit fewer of us, but it definitely feels good to be a part of that.
For sure. How about you, Anthony?
I mean, I enjoyed my story. I wouldn't change a thing about it. It's really made me appreciate a lot of different levels that I've reached in Major League or in professional baseball. And just one story real quick. I remember my first year in pro ball. I was just ecstatic playing in front of thousands of people in this dump of a stadium that is now no longer there, burned down, but it was in Eugene, Oregon. And there were players from bigger programs that I heard them, and they were complaining about the facilities and what is a big step down. And to come from a Division II program that didn't have all the bells and whistles, if you want to call it that, I appreciated everything more. So I enjoyed and embraced the moment where I was. And I think that really helped me climb the ladder and not get caught up in some of the negatives of playing minor league baseball. And I attribute that to just, getting the opportunity to play at a smaller program, but now the program's, well known in Michigan, in the Detroit area. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that is awesome. What do you both remember about that first day when you got the call and you're like, holy cow, I'm a big leaguer? Hunter, you first, because it's more recent.
Yeah, so we were in Las Vegas, and I had been been starting and doing tandems, like back end tandems for the whole year. And my manager, before the game, I was scheduled to be a back end tandem, and he came up to me and said that I was just going to pitch out of the bullpen like just a true reliever. And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And it was the end of August. I knew September call-ups were around the corner, and I kind of thought to myself, maybe this is a test to see if I can handle a different role. And then I pitched in that game, and then I got into the clubhouse, and my manager, Mickey Story, called me into his office, and he's one of my favorites. He kind of played a joke on me. He acted like he was mad at me and that he needed to talk to me. And I got in there, and he was all smiles and said that I was going to the big leagues. So that was it was perfect. It really couldn't have been any better.
That is awesome. Anthony, how about you?
Funny you say Mickey Story, because I played against him in AA, so I know Mickey quite well. So I know I'm getting older when he's managing Hunter. I was in AA in the Texas League in San Antonio, and the manager, Doug DeCenzo, called me in the office. I was scheduled to start that night, and he said, "You're not starting tonight." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "We don't like this matchup for you." And we were playing Frisco, and I beat him my last outing. So I was so confused, right? Why am I not pitching against the team I just beat? And he said, "We like your matchup against the Rockies more." And then I was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "You're starting against the Rockies tomorrow night in Denver." And I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And he just, shook my hand, gave me a hug. And then the pitching coach came in, hitting coach came in. They all gave me hugs. And then I remember I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep for the next 24 hours leading up to my start. I was just so anxious, so much anxiety. And I knew I had a friend of mine who was pitching in the major leagues at the time named JJ Putz, who had texted me, and he said, because Colorado can be a tough place to pitch if you're not hydrated. So I just remember just pounding water leading up to that start. And then that game started, and it went so fast. The next thing I know I went 5 innings and I was taken out, and we won the game. So that was really cool. And I got sent down after the game, and Heath Bell, who I mentioned earlier, told me in the clubhouse, he's like, "You'll be back in 2 weeks." I'm like, "Why do you say that?" He goes, "I've been around long enough, I know." And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I got called back and finished the year with the Padres.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you guys get chills? Because I just got chills from telling the story.
I was going to say, Anthony sent me a text. I had a lot of the same things, a lot of anxiety. I think I maybe slept for maybe 2 hours the night before my debut, and then Anthony shot me a very nice text, and it did calm me down and allowed me to be present and enjoy the moment.
Okay, so I hope you're both ready, because just because you made it to the big leagues, you still have to face the D2 Nation hot seat. We're going to ask you just some rapid fire fun questions to close out the show. So, Bethany, normally you start, but I'm going to start this week. Hunter, you first. What's the best baseball movie of all time?
Oh, Bull Durham.
Nice. Anthony?
Major League.
Nice.
I like it.
Who was your favorite baseball player growing up, and have you been able to meet or play with or against them?
Hunter?
Yeah, I was his teammate, Justin Verlander. It was pretty much as cool as it gets on that front. An awesome year. He's an awesome guy, great leader, obviously an incredible competitor, great teammate, and I was very, very fortunate to get a chance to interact with him this year.
Mine was Cal Ripken Jr., and I didn't play against Cal, but I got a chance to play catch with Cal and catch his first pitch when I was in AAA in 2014 with the Oklahoma City Redbirds when I was with Houston. That was really cool.
That is really cool. Is there one hitter or lineup? Anthony probably has more experience here because you faced so little, but is there one hitter or lineup specifically you just can't stand facing that is just your ultimate thorn in your side?
Oh yeah, Mike Trout knows he has my number. He sent me a jersey.
Whose number doesn't he have?
I sent a jersey to him to sign for me, and he put 2 Anthony. He goes, I always enjoy our matchups. I'm like, I know you do because you've won most of them.
Hunter, have you found somebody yet?
I really just did not enjoy pitching against the Oklahoma City Dodgers, AAA of the Dodgers. They just are. I mean, usually they have about 4 or 5 big leaguers, whether they're, just guys that are not on the 40-man or, free agent deals, older or whatever. But, yeah, like at the beginning of the year, they had Kevin Pillar, Jake Lamb, and they obviously had their top prospects in there too. So it was a difficult lineup this year. Yeah, I looked forward to playing them to try and get them, but I always knew it was going to be a dogfight out there.
What is on your Spotify or Apple playlist to get pumped up for a game?
So I listen to the same 3 songs on repeat. I listen to some Metallica, Enter Sandman. I listen to the White Stripes that are on there, and then Welcome to the Jungle. Yeah, those are my 3 songs that I pretty much
songs right there. You've got to be pumped up listening to that music right there.
Yeah, my whole pregame routine. Those are the same 3 on repeat.
Nice. Okay.
I've been digging the country artist Hardy a lot lately, so I've been listening to his music a lot, especially before the game. As a reliever, there's no really like routine or schedule, so whatever the clubhouse is playing is what I'm listening to. And the Jays guys, they love their techno house music, so a lot of bass is in my head before the game.
Do you come into a song when you're a reliever, or is that just for closers?
Yeah. My song this year was Next Episode by Dr. Dre.
Nice, that's a good one.
The fans seem to like it.
Okay, for both of you, if you could sit down and talk baseball with any Hall of Famer, who would it be?
Wow,
That's a good one, right?
Anthony, you take this one. Yeah,
I would say for me, being a reliever and closing some games at the major league level, I would love to just have a one-on-one with Mariano Rivera. He's my all-time favorite pitcher, and pitching in the back end of the game at the major league levels is a whole different animal. So to be able to pick his brain and to talk to him about his routine would really benefit me. So I would pick Mariano Rivera.
Good one.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Nolan Ryan. I mean, he just did it for so long, so many different teams and circumstances, and I mean, he's pretty much been there and done that on everything. So I think I would like to talk to him.
Have you watched the documentary on him on Netflix? It's really good. I think it's called
The Fastball.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
That's a good one.
If you weren't a baseball player, what would you be doing? Anthony, don't say dentist.
I wouldn't be a dentist. If I wasn't playing baseball, I think I would do something with coaching. I don't know what level of coaching I would do, but I love the game of baseball. I like giving back. Maybe a pitching coach, maybe a college pitching coach. I could see me doing that.
Like it.
I would probably do something something working with my hands. I'm not really an office guy, so I would probably either go like the construction or electrician route. That's something that would interest me, different scenarios all the time.
Okay. So this is a debate that seems to always be in the world of baseball. So we'll close out the show with this very, very important question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a hot dog.
Yeah, I agree with Hunter. A hot dog's a hot dog. It's not a sandwich.
I 100% agree. My first year at the College World Series, I had this debate, and the winning vote was that it's a sandwich, and I just don't understand how it could possibly be a sandwich.
No, I'm with you. There's no way.
So I have a question for Wayne and Bethany before we close this out. You're on the hot seat.
Okay, I like it.
One gift underneath the Christmas tree this year. What do you want?
Ooh,
that's a tough one.
Yeah. That is a tough one.
Okay, I got one.
All right, Bethany, you go first.
All I just want a new air fryer because mine broke, and air fryers are literally life changing. If you don't have one, you have to get one. I think my parents are getting me one because they know mine broke, so I hope so anyway.
I like that. I've heard they're amazing.
You need to get one, especially with kids. You can throw in some nuggets, fries. It's amazing.
Yeah, air fryer chicken nuggets are. I have a 6-year-old. It's a game changer. Your whole life, you'll see life in different colors. It's great. This is kind of corny, but obviously, behind the scenes, we just experienced this. But there's this little podcasting thing. It's only like $110, and its whole tagline is "Sound like a pro for $110." And you could plug in all these sounds to it and make yourself a pro. And honestly, that's what I would like, because one of my favorite nights of the week is hanging out with Bethany and doing this show, and just to upgrade ourselves a little bit, I think would be really fun.
That's awesome.
We can't even get 45 minutes. You got to slow your roll.
I know.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you get a little rest this off season before spring training gets rolling, but we really appreciate you taking some time with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bethany, Wayne, thanks for having us. Go Warriors. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and remember, D2 Nation, before we go, we need your support. So check us out everywhere podcasts are available and on YouTube. And while you're at it, give us a like. We'll see you next week on the D2 Nation.